Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Terra's Hope and watched the stars through the big viewing window. She had been traveling through space for 20 years now. Her ship was one of the best exploration vessels that humans had ever built. The crew of 60 people trusted her completely. They knew she would always make the right choice when things got difficult. The ship was flying near the edge of known space. This area was dark and empty. Most people never came here because there was nothing interesting to find. But Lisa believed that empty space often held the biggest surprises. She had found 3 new planets during her career. Each discovery had helped humanity learn more about the universe. Dr. Amanda Foster walked up to Lisa and handed her a cup of hot coffee. Amanda was the ship's doctor and also an expert on alien life forms. She had studied every known alien species. Her knowledge had saved many lives during first contact situations. Amanda was also Lisa's best friend. They had served together for 8 years. "The sensors are picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez from her station. Maya was young but very good with the ship's navigation systems. She could read sensor data better than anyone else on the crew. Her dark eyes were focused on the screen in front of her. Lisa walked over to look at Maya's readings. The sensors showed an unusual energy pattern about 2 million kilometers away. It was near a dead star that had burned out long ago. The energy signature was definitely artificial. Something made by intelligent beings was out there in the darkness. "Could it be a ship?" asked Amanda as she looked at the data. Maya nodded slowly. "The readings match what we would expect from a disabled spacecraft. But the design is not human. The energy patterns are completely different from our technology." Lisa felt her heart beat faster. Finding an alien ship this far from any known civilization was very unusual. Most alien species stayed close to their homeworlds. Only humans regularly traveled to the far edges of space. "How big is the vessel?" Lisa asked. "About the same size as our ship," Maya replied. "But the power levels are very low. If there are people on board, they might be in serious trouble." Lisa made a decision quickly. She turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to Earth. Command! Tell them we have found an unknown alien vessel. We are going to investigate." The Terra's Hope changed course and headed toward the mysterious ship. As they got closer, the sensors revealed more details. The alien vessel was badly damaged. Parts of its hull had been torn away. There were signs of deliberate sabotage rather than battle damage or accidents. "Captain, I am detecting life signs," said Maya with excitement in her voice. "There are at least 20 beings still alive on that ship." Amanda checked her medical scanners. "Their vital signs are weak. Whatever species they are, they do not have much time left. Their life support systems are failing." Lisa studied the alien ship through the viewing window. It was beautiful in a strange way. The design was smooth and curved like flowing water. Parts of it seemed to shimmer with an inner light even though it was clearly broken. She had never seen anything like it. "There is something else, Captain," Maya said quietly. "I am detecting 2 different types of life signs. There are 2 alien species on that ship." This news surprised everyone on the bridge. It was very rare for different alien species to travel together. Most aliens were suspicious of other races. The fact that 2 species were on one ship together was almost unbelievable. "Prepare the rescue shuttles," Lisa ordered. "Amanda, get your medical team ready. We are going to save whoever is on that ship." "Captain, our orders say we should avoid direct contact with unknown alien species," said Commander Beth Turner, the security chief. "We are supposed to report any findings and wait for instructions." Lisa looked at Beth seriously. "Those orders were written by people sitting safely on Earth. We are the ones out here. We can see that beings are dying. I will not let people die while we wait for permission to help them." Amanda smiled at her friend's words. This was why she respected Lisa so much. The captain always chose to help others, even when it was dangerous, or went against regulations. The Terra's Hope moved carefully toward the alien vessel. Lisa could see that parts of the ship's hull had holes in them. Emergency force fields were the only things keeping the atmosphere inside. Whoever had damaged this ship had wanted to make sure everyone on board would die slowly. "The damage patterns suggest this was done on purpose," reported the chief engineer. "Someone wanted to disable this ship without destroying it completely. They wanted the people inside to suffer." Lisa felt anger growing in her chest. What kind of people would do such a cruel thing? She had seen many terrible things in space, but this seemed especially evil. These beings had been left to die alone in the darkness between the stars. Maya, can you get us close enough to dock with their ship? Lisa asked. Yes, Captain. Their docking port appears to be undamaged. We should be able to make a seal. Good. Amanda, I want you to lead the rescue team. Take 4 medical technicians and 2 security officers. I will come. With you. Amanda looked worried. Captain, you should stay on the Terra's Hope. We do not know anything about these aliens. They might be dangerous. If they are dangerous, then I want to be there to make decisions quickly, Lisa replied. Besides, if someone left them to die, they probably need to see that we are different. They need to know that humans will help them. The 2 ships connected with a soft thud. Lisa put on her environmental suit and joined the rescue team. When the airlocks opened, they stepped into a corridor filled with strange, beautiful architecture. The walls seemed to glow with soft light that came from within the metal itself. The first alien they found was unconscious near the airlock. She looked almost human, but was much taller and thinner. Her skin was pale like moonlight, and her ears were pointed like the elves from old Earth stories. Her breathing was very weak. Get her to the medical bay immediately, Amanda ordered her team. As they moved deeper into the ship, they found more aliens. Some looked like the first one, tall and graceful with pointed ears. Others were completely different. These beings had skin that looked like crystal, and their eyes glowed with inner light. Both species were clearly dying from lack of oxygen and failing life support. Lisa worked alongside her crew to carry the unconscious aliens back to the Terra's Hope. Each rescue felt like a race against time. Some of the beings were so weak that Amanda was not sure they would survive the trip to the human medical bay. The last alien they found was different from the others. She was clearly very old, with silver hair and deep wisdom in her eyes. Even though she was weak, she was still conscious. When she saw Lisa, she tried to speak. The words were in a language that Lisa had never heard before, but the meaning was clear in the alien's eyes. She was grateful. Lisa knelt down beside the old alien and gently took her hand. "We are going to help you," she said softly. "You are safe now." The alien woman squeezed Lisa's hand weakly and closed her eyes. Lisa hoped they had found these people in time. As the rescue team carried the last survivors back to the Terra's Hope, Lisa took one final look at the damaged alien ship. Someone had tried to murder these innocent beings, but they had failed. Humanity had found them first. Dr. Amanda Foster worked without stopping for 12 hours to save the alien survivors. The medical bay of the Terra's Hope had never been so busy. Her team of doctors and nurses moved quickly between the treatment beds. Each alien required different medical care because their bodies worked in ways that Amanda had never seen before. The tall, graceful aliens with pointed ears seemed to breathe differently than humans. Their blood was silver instead of red, and their hearts beat much slower. Amanda had to adjust all her medical equipment to work with their unusual biology. She was fascinated by how beautiful and delicate they appeared, yet their bodies were actually quite strong. The crystal-skinned aliens were even more mysterious. Their bodies seemed to be part organic and part mineral. When Amanda touched their skin, it felt warm like living flesh, but also hard like stone. These beings did not have blood at all. Instead, some kind of energy flowed through crystal channels in their bodies. Amanda had to completely change her approach to treating them. Captain Lisa Morgan visited the medical bay every few hours to check on the survivors. She could see that Amanda was exhausted, but refused to rest. The doctor was determined to save every life possible. 3 of the aliens had been very close to death when they arrived, but Amanda's skill was slowly bringing them back. "How are they doing?" Lisa asked quietly. "Better than I expected," Amanda replied, while checking the vital signs of one patient. "Their bodies are amazing. Once I figured out how to support their life functions, they started healing quickly. I think most of them will survive." The oldest alien woman was the first to wake up. Her eyes opened slowly and she looked around the medical bay with curiosity rather than fear. When she saw Lisa and Amanda watching her, she tried to sit up. Amanda gently helped her. "Easy now. Amanda said in a soft voice. "You are safe. We are here to help you." The old alien woman studied Amanda's face carefully. Then she pointed to herself and spoke a single word. "Silvana." Lisa smiled and pointed to herself. "Lisa." Then she pointed to Amanda. "Amanda." "Silvana." Nodded and repeated their names. Her voice was musical and pleasant. She seemed to understand that they were trying to communicate. Over the next hour, Lisa and Amanda worked with Silvana to establish basic communication. They used numbers, simple drawings, and gestures to share ideas. The second alien to wake up was one of the crystal beings. She was younger than Silvana, and her crystal skin sparkled with different colors. When she opened her eyes, they glowed. With bright blue light, she looked at the humans with wonder. "Zara," she said, pointing to herself. "Zara," Lisa repeated with a smile. Zara sat up and looked around the medical bay. When she saw the human computer terminals, her eyes grew wide with interest. She pointed at them and said something in her own language. Her excitement was obvious. More. Aliens woke up over the next day. Lisa learned that the graceful elf-like beings called themselves the Etheri. The crystal people were known as the Cathara. Both species seemed intelligent and peaceful. They were grateful to the humans for rescuing them. The breakthrough in communication came when Zara approached one of the computer terminals. She held out her hand and touched the screen. Immediately, the computer began displaying symbols and patterns that none of the humans recognized. Zara's crystal skin was somehow connecting directly with the ship's computer systems. "Incredible," Amanda whispered. "She is interfacing with our technology through touch." Zara worked with the computer for several minutes. Slowly, the symbols on the screen began to change. They started to look more like human writing. Zara was programming the computer to translate between their languages. "Hello," appeared on the screen in clear English letters. Lisa felt goosebumps on her arms. This was the first time any human had successfully communicated with these alien species. "Hello, Zara," she said. More words appeared on the screen. "Thank you for saving us. We thought we would die in the cold darkness." "Who did this to you?" Lisa typed on the keyboard. The screen was quiet for a long moment. Then Zara's reply appeared. "Our own people. We were exiled because we wanted peace between our species." Lisa felt sick to her stomach. These beings had been abandoned by their own governments. She looked at Amanda, who appeared equally horrified. Silvana approached the computer terminal. She touched Zara's hand, and then the screen. More text appeared. "I am Silvana Starweaver, Elder of the Etheri. This is Zara Crystalborn, Engineer of the Cathara. We are political refugees." "Political refugees from what?" Lisa typed. "Our governments have become cruel and suspicious. They no longer trust other species. We believed that cooperation and friendship between different peoples would make everyone stronger. For this belief, we were branded as traitors." Amanda stepped forward and typed a message. "How many of you are there?" 23 Etheri and 18 Cathara. We are scientists, artists, engineers, and teachers. We work together on projects to improve life for both our species. Our leaders said this cooperation was dangerous and against nature." Another alien approached the terminal. She was young and graceful like the other Etheri. Her eyes were bright green, and her silver hair was long and beautiful. She touched the screen, and new words appeared. "I am Lyrale Moonwhisper. I was the navigator of our ship before it was sabotaged. I helped design new star maps that would have allowed our peoples to explore the galaxy together. The leader said this was forbidden knowledge." Lisa was amazed by what she was learning. These aliens had been punished for wanting exactly what humans valued most: cooperation, exploration, and the sharing of knowledge. They were not criminals at all. They were exactly the kind of people that humans would want as friends. "The ship's systems were damaged before we left," Zara explained through the computer. "They told us it would be repaired after we reached our destination, but there was no destination. They sent us into empty space to die slowly. It was meant to be an example to others who might think like us." Silvana added more information. "Both our governments worked together to plan this execution. They wanted to show that cooperation between Etheri and Cathara leads only to death." Lisa felt, anger building inside her. These peaceful beings had been sentenced to death for believing in friendship and cooperation. It was exactly the opposite of everything humanity stood for. Over the following days, more details emerged. The Etheri and Kythera had once been close, allies. They had shared technology and culture for hundreds of years. But new leaders in both governments had promoted fear and isolation. They convinced their people that other species were dangerous and that cooperation made them weak. The refugees had been some of the last voices speaking for peace and friendship. Scientists like Zara had developed amazing technologies by combining Etheri and Kythera knowledge. Artists had created beautiful works that celebrated both cultures. Teachers had educated young people about the benefits of working together. We knew we were in danger, Lyrelai explained, but we hoped our work would show people that cooperation was better than fear. Instead, we were arrested and put on that ship. Amanda learned fascinating things about both species as she continued treating the survivors. The Etheri had incredible abilities to sense energy and predict space phenomena. Lyrelai could look at star charts and immediately see the safest routes through dangerous areas. The Etheri also had natural healing abilities that helped the injured recover quickly. The Kythera were amazing engineers and scientists. Their crystal bodies allowed them to interface with technology in ways that seemed like magic. Zara could understand complex computer systems just by touching them. Other Kythera could repair damaged equipment by channeling energy through their hands. Imagine what we could accomplish if our peoples worked together, Sylvana said sadly. The Etheri wisdom combined with Kythera technology could solve many problems in the galaxy. Lisa made a decision that would change everything. She called a meeting with her senior officers and explained the situation. Some officers worried about getting involved in alien politics. Others pointed out that helping these refugees might anger the Etheri and Kythera governments. These beings were sentenced to death for believing in the same values that humans hold dear, Lisa said firmly. If we turn our backs on them now, we are no better than the people who tried to murder them. Amanda supported her friend completely. They are not criminals. They are the best representatives of their species. If we want to have good relationships with aliens in the future, these are exactly the people we should be helping. Maya Rodriguez agreed. They have already taught us so much about navigation and technology. Working with them could help humanity explore the galaxy more safely. Lisa sent a message to Earth Command explaining the situation and requesting permission to grant asylum to the refugees. She knew the answer might take weeks to arrive due to the distance they were from Earth. In the meantime, she decided to care for the survivors and learn everything she could from them. The aliens were grateful for human kindness but also worried about causing trouble. They did not want humanity to suffer because of their problems. Sylvana offered to try to contact other ships and find somewhere else to go. You are not going anywhere, Lisa said firmly. Humans do not abandon people in need. We will figure out a solution together. As the days passed, the aliens grew stronger and began to integrate into life aboard the Terra's Hope. They shared their knowledge freely and helped improve many of the ship's systems. Zara worked with the engineers to make the computers more efficient. Lyrelai helped Maya create better star charts. Sylvana taught the crew about different alien cultures they might encounter. But Lisa knew that this peaceful time would not last forever. Soon, Earth Command would respond to her message. The Etheri and Kythera governments would eventually discover that their exiles had survived. Difficult decisions were coming, and Lisa hoped that humanity would choose compassion over politics. Terra's Hope arrived at the human frontier station New Geneva 3 weeks after rescuing the alien survivors. The massive space station orbited a blue-white star and served as the headquarters for human exploration activities in this region of space. Ships from all over human territory came here for supplies, repairs, and new mission assignments. Captain Lisa Morgan watched through the viewing window as her ship approached the docking bay. She felt nervous about what would happen next. The alien refugees had become like family to her crew during the journey. The thought of losing them made her stomach hurt. Admiral Kate Sullivan was waiting at the airlock when Lisa disembarked. Kate was a tough woman who had spent 40 years in space. She commanded all human military forces in this sector. Her face was serious as she greeted Lisa. Captain Morgan, you have created quite a stir back on Earth, Kate said without smiling. The politicians are having heated arguments about what to do with your passengers. They are not passengers, Admiral. They are refugees seeking asylum from persecution, Lisa replied firmly. Kate nodded slowly. I have read your reports. I believe your assessment of the situation is correct. But the political situation is complicated. Both the Etheri and Cathara governments have contacted us. They want their people returned immediately. Lisa felt her heart sink. What did they tell you about these people? They claim the refugees are dangerous criminals who stole important technology and fled to avoid punishment. They say that keeping them would be an act of war against both their civilizations. That is completely false, Lisa said angrily. These people are scientists, artists, and teachers. Their only crime was believing in cooperation and peace. Admiral Sullivan led Lisa to a secure conference room. I know you believe that, Captain, but we have no way to verify your story independently. We only have the word of the refugees themselves. Lisa was about to argue when the door opened. Dr. Nina Blackwood entered the room. Nina was one of the most respected experts on alien psychology and culture in human space. She had studied first contact situations for 20 years. Admiral Captain, Nina said as she sat down, I have spent the last week interviewing the survivors. I can confirm that Captain Morgan's assessment is accurate. These beings show no signs of criminal behavior or deception. Their psychological profiles are consistent with educated, peaceful individuals. Admiral Sullivan looked relieved. That is good to hear, Doctor. But it does not solve our political problem. If we grant asylum to these refugees, we might face military action from two powerful alien civilizations. Commander Beth Turner, the station's security chief, joined the meeting. Admiral, we have been monitoring communications from both alien governments. Their fleets are mobilizing. It appears they are preparing for military action if we do not return the refugees. Lisa felt desperate. Admiral, you cannot send these people back to die. They were left in space to suffer a slow death. Their own governments tried to murder them. I understand your feelings, Captain, Admiral Sullivan said sadly. But I have to consider the safety of all humans in this sector. If we start a war, over 41 aliens, thousands of human lives could be lost. Dr. Blackwood spoke up. Admiral, there is something else you should consider. During my interviews, I learned that these refugees represent some of the most advanced scientists and engineers from both species. The knowledge they possess could benefit humanity enormously. What kind of knowledge? Admiral Sullivan asked. The Etheri have natural abilities to predict space phenomena that could revolutionize navigation safety. The Cathara understand biotechnology integration in ways that could advance our computer systems by centuries. If we can learn from them, humanity will become much stronger. Lisa saw an opportunity. Admiral, let me show you what they have already accomplished on my ship. Over the next few hours, Lisa gave Admiral Sullivan a tour of the Terra's Hope. Zara had improved the computer system so much that they now operated 30% more efficiently. Lyra Lay had helped Maya create star charts that revealed safe passages through areas humans had thought were too dangerous to explore. The most impressive demonstration came when Silvana used an Etheri memory crystal to share historical records with the station's computers. The crystal contained thousands of years of Etheri culture, science, and philosophy. Human scholars would need decades to study all the information it contained. This is remarkable, Admiral Sullivan admitted. If this represents even a small portion of what they know, the potential benefits are enormous. Dr. Blackwood nodded. Admiral, these refugees could be the key to establishing positive relationships with their species in the future. When the current governments fall, as authoritarian regimes eventually do, the survivors will remember who helped them and who abandoned them. Meanwhile, the alien refugees were settling into life on New Geneva Station. The crew of the Terra's Hope had requested permission to stay and help with the integration process. Lisa was proud to see how well her people worked with the aliens. Zara had been given access to the station's main computer systems. Within days, she had identified dozens of improvements that would make operations more efficient. Her ability to interface directly with computers fascinated the human engineers. They followed her around like students learning from a master teacher. Lyra Lay worked with the navigation department to update star charts for the entire sector. Her understanding of space phenomena was incredible. She could predict solar storms, gravitational anomalies, and other dangers weeks before human instruments detected them. Silvana spent her time in the station's library, sharing Etheri cultural knowledge with human scholars. She told stories of ancient Etheri civilizations that had explored the galaxy long before humans left Earth. Her wisdom and experience amazed everyone who met her. The younger Etheri and Cathara refugees also found ways to contribute. They helped in laboratories, workshops, and research facilities. Their different perspectives on science and technology led to breakthrough discoveries almost daily. But not everyone on the station was happy about the alien presence. Some humans worried that the refugees might be spies or that helping them would bring war. A few station personnel requested transfers to other assignments rather than work alongside aliens. Commander Turner had to deal with several incidents where humans made rude comments or refused to cooperate with the refugees. She was frustrated by the prejudice some people showed. "These aliens have done nothing but help us since they arrived," Beth complained to Lisa. "Yet some of our own people treat them like enemies." Lisa sighed. "Fear makes people react badly. Sometimes. We just have to keep showing them that cooperation benefits everyone." The situation became more tense when messages arrived from Earth. President Claire Watson had sent instructions that the refugees should be kept in secure quarters, while the government decided what to do. Some politicians wanted to return them immediately to avoid conflict. Others argued for granting asylum. Ambassador Rosa Martinez was traveling to New Geneva to negotiate with representatives from both alien governments. The Etheri and Cathara had sent diplomats to demand the return of their people. "The negotiations are not going well," Admiral Sullivan told Lisa privately. "Both alien governments are threatening to cut off all diplomatic relations with humanity if we do not comply with their demands." Lisa felt sick with worry. What about the evidence that these people are innocent refugees, not criminals? "The alien diplomats claim that our evidence is fabricated. They say the refugees have manipulated us with lies and false documents." Dr. Blackwood was equally frustrated. "I have conducted extensive psychological evaluations. There is no doubt that these people are telling the truth. But the alien governments refuse to accept any evidence that contradicts their story." The crisis deepened when both alien fleets arrived at the edge of human space. Long-range sensors detected over 100 warships positioned just outside the New Geneva system. The message was clear: return the refugees or face military action. Admiral Sullivan called an emergency meeting with all senior staff. "We have received an ultimatum. The alien fleets will attack in 72 hours unless we surrender the refugees." Lisa stood up angrily. "Admiral, we cannot give in to threats. If we surrender innocent people to save ourselves, we lose our humanity." "Captain, I agree with your moral position," Admiral Sullivan replied. "But I have a responsibility to protect the civilians on this station. There are 50,000 people here who could die if we refuse." Dr. Blackwood had an idea. "What if we could prove that the alien governments are lying about the refugees? If we had independent evidence of their innocence, it might change public opinion." Zara had been listening quietly to the discussion. She approached the conference table and touched the computer terminal. Words appeared on the screen. "I still have access to some Cathara government databases through quantum communication links. I could retrieve records that prove we are innocent. But accessing those files would reveal that I am still alive." Lirelai also came forward. "The Etheri keep detailed records of all political trials. If I could contact certain people who are still loyal to the old ways, they might send evidence of what really happened to us." Admiral Sullivan looked thoughtful. "How long would you need to gather this evidence?" "Perhaps 24 hours. Zara replied through the computer. "That would give us enough proof to present to Earth Command and possibly to galactic news organizations," Dr. Blackwood said excitedly. Lisa felt hope returning. "Admiral, if we can prove these people are innocent refugees, surely Earth will support granting them asylum." Admiral Sullivan made a decision. "Very well. You have 24 hours to gather evidence, but if you cannot prove your case by then, I will have to consider surrendering the refugees to prevent a war." Zara and Lirelai worked frantically to contact their sources and gather proof of their innocence. Other refugees helped by providing details about their trials and the circumstances of their exile. Lisa watched them work and felt proud of their courage. Even facing the possibility of being returned to certain death, they remained focused on proving the truth. She was determined to find a way to protect these brave beings who had already given humanity so much. The evidence that Zara and Lyralay gathered was overwhelming. Computer records from both alien governments showed that the refugees had been convicted of promoting dangerous cooperation and spreading anti-government ideas. The actual charges were for organizing cultural exchanges, sharing scientific research, and teaching young people about the benefits of peace. Dr. Nina Blackwood compiled the evidence into a comprehensive report. The documents showed that the refugees had been sentenced to exile specifically because their work was making people question the wisdom of isolationist policies. They were not criminals, but political prisoners whose crime was believing in friendship between species. Admiral Kate Sullivan transmitted the evidence to Earth Command and to major news organizations throughout human space. Within hours, the story was being broadcast across the galaxy. Public opinion began to shift as people learned the truth about the refugees. President Claire Watson called an emergency session of the Human Council. The debate was fierce and emotional. Some council members argued that humanity should not interfere in alien internal affairs, even to save innocent lives. Others demanded that Earth take a strong stand against the persecution of peaceful beings. Ambassador Rosa Martinez was still negotiating with the alien diplomats at New Geneva Station. The Etheri and Cathera representatives refused to acknowledge the evidence of the refugees' innocence. They claimed that all the documents were forgeries created by human intelligence services. "Your people are naive," said the Etheri diplomat, coldly. "These criminals have deceived you with lies and fake evidence. Return them to us immediately and we will overlook your interference in our affairs." The Cathera diplomat was equally hostile. "The beings you harbor are enemies of order and stability. They spread chaos wherever they go. We offer you one final chance to avoid the consequences of protecting them." Admiral Sullivan felt the weight of impossible choices. Intelligence reports showed that the combined alien fleets had over 200 warships. Human forces in the sector numbered only 37 vessels. If fighting began, the humans would be completely outnumbered. Captain Lisa Morgan requested a private meeting with the Admiral. "Kate, I have an idea that might solve this crisis without bloodshed." "I am listening, Captain." "What if we offered to let neutral observers verify the refugees' stories? We could invite representatives from other alien species to investigate independently." Admiral Sullivan shook her head. "The Etheri and Cathera governments would never agree to outside interference. They want this situation resolved quickly and quietly." Dr. Blackwood joined the conversation. "Admiral, I have been analyzing the psychological profiles of both alien diplomatic teams. I believe they are under tremendous pressure from their home governments. If this situation drags on, they might face punishment themselves." Lisa had another thought. "What about the refugees themselves? Have we asked them what they want to do?" Tutter. 3 women went to speak with Silvana, Zara, and Lyralay. The alien leaders were meeting in one of the station's conference rooms, discussing their options. "We have brought great danger to humanity," Silvana said sadly. "Perhaps we should return to our people to prevent a war." Zara's crystal skin flickered, with dim colors showing her distress. "Our governments will execute us immediately, but if our deaths prevent human suffering, we are willing to make that sacrifice." Lyralay agreed. "Humans saved our lives when they had no obligation to help us. We cannot repay that kindness by causing harm to innocent people." Lisa felt her heart breaking. These brave beings were willing to die to protect people they barely knew. It was exactly the kind of selfless courage that had gotten them exiled in the first place. "No," Lisa said firmly. "We will not let you sacrifice yourselves. Humans do not abandon friends in need." Admiral Sullivan spoke carefully. "The decision is not mine alone to make. President Watson and the Human Council must choose our course of action." The answer from Earth arrived 6 hours later. President Watson had decided to grant temporary asylum to the refugees while attempting to negotiate a peaceful solution. Human fleets throughout the galaxy were being repositioned to strengthen defenses, but Earth would not surrender innocent beings to execution. The response from the alien fleets was immediate and hostile. Both the Etheri and Cathera commanders sent final ultimatums. They would attack New Geneva Station in 12 hours unless the refugees were handed over. Admiral Sullivan ordered the evacuation of all non-essential personnel from the station. Families with children were sent to safety on transport ships. Only military personnel and volunteers remained to defend the refugees. Captain Jennifer Stone arrived with a small fleet of human warships just hours before the deadline. Her force included 12 vessels, bringing the total human defense to 49 ships. It was still not enough to match the alien fleets, but it showed Earth's commitment to protecting the refugees. "Admiral, I have orders to assist in the defense of New Geneva Station," Captain Stone reported. "President Watson wants the galaxy to know that humanity stands by its principles." The night before the expected attack, Lisa visited the refugees in their quarters. Many of them were preparing for what they believed would be their final hours. They were writing messages to friends and family members, recording their memories, and saying goodbye to each other. Silvana was teaching young Etheri about their cultural traditions. "Even if we die tomorrow, our knowledge must survive," she told them. "Remember the stories of our people and the dreams we shared." Zara was working frantically to transfer her technological knowledge to the human computer systems. "If something happens to us, at least humanity will benefit from what we learned," she explained. Lyrelai was updating star charts and navigation data, ensuring that human explorers would have the safest possible routes through dangerous space. Her dedication to helping others continued even while facing death. Lisa was amazed by their courage and generosity. Even in their darkest hour, the refugees were thinking about how to help others. She made a promise to herself that she would not let these remarkable beings die. The attack began at dawn. The alien fleets dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system and began advancing toward New Geneva Station. Their ships were beautiful and deadly, glowing with exotic energies and armed with weapons that human technology could barely understand. Admiral Sullivan deployed the human fleet in a defensive formation around the station. The plan was to delay the attackers as long as possible while hoping for a diplomatic breakthrough. Everyone knew it was probably hopeless, but they were determined to make a stand. As the fleets approached each other, something unexpected happened. Several ships from both alien fleets broke formation and moved away from the main groups. These vessels began broadcasting messages on emergency frequencies. "This is Commander Ilara Nightsong of the Etheri vessel Starlight," came the first transmission. "I refuse to participate in the murder of innocent refugees. Any Etheri who still believe in honor and justice should join me." A Cathara ship also separated from its fleet. "This is Engineer Kaya Gemhart of the Cathara vessel Crystal Dawn. The beings on that station are heroes, not criminals. I stand with them against tyranny." More ships from both fleets began to defect. Their crews had learned the truth about the refugees through unofficial communications networks. Many alien military personnel had friends or family members who shared the refugees' beliefs in cooperation and peace. Within an hour, nearly 30 alien ships had joined the defectors. They formed a protective line between the human station and the remaining hostile fleets. The crisis had become a civil war within both alien civilizations. The commanding officers of the hostile fleets were furious. They threatened to destroy the defector ships along with the human station. But their threats only caused more aliens to switch sides. Admiral Sullivan saw an opportunity. She opened communication channels to all ships in the system. "This is Admiral Sullivan of the Human Federation. I call upon all beings who value justice and freedom to stand together against oppression." The message was broadcast throughout the galaxy. Within hours, news of the standoff was being reported on every major communication network. Public opinion in both alien civilizations began to turn against their governments. Protest demonstrations erupted on Etheri and Cathara worlds. Citizens who had been afraid to speak out before found courage in the example of the defecting ships. They demanded that their governments stop the persecution of peaceful beings. The crisis reached a turning point when Elder Corvain, the most respected Etheri spiritual leader, issued a public statement condemning the exile of the refugees. "Those you call criminals are the best among us," he declared. "They represent the true spirit of our people." Similar statements came from prominent Cathara scientists and artists. The governments that had seemed so powerful suddenly found themselves isolated and facing internal rebellion. The hostile fleets withdrew to defensive positions while their commanders waited for new orders from home. The immediate threat of attack was over, but the larger crisis was far from resolved. Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Terra's Hope and watched the standoff continue. Ships from 3 different species floated in space, their weapons ready but their crews uncertain. The fate of the refugees, and perhaps the future of peace in the galaxy, hung in the balance. She knew that the next few days would determine whether the refugees would find the sanctuary they deserved, or whether the forces of fear and hatred would triumph. But for the first time since the crisis began, Lisa felt hope. The defection of so many alien ships proved that good people existed in every species. Perhaps that would be enough to tip the balance toward justice. The standoff in space lasted for 3 tense days while events unfolded across the galaxy. News of the refugee crisis had sparked protests and demonstrations on dozens of worlds. The simple story of innocent beings left to die in space had touched the hearts of millions, of people from many different species. Captain Susan Hayes arrived with a relief fleet of 23 human ships on the second day. Her vessels carried emergency supplies and additional defensive equipment for New Geneva Station. More importantly, they brought news that public opinion throughout human space was overwhelmingly supporting the refugees. "Captain Morgan, you and your crew have become heroes back on Earth," Susan reported. "The story of how you rescued those people has inspired millions. There are support rallies happening in every major city." Dr. Rebecca Chen, a leading researcher in biotechnology, arrived on Susan's flagship. She was eager to study the advances that Zara had made to human computer systems. "The improvements these Kithara have developed could revolutionize space travel and communication," she told Admiral Sullivan. "The potential benefits to humanity are enormous." On the third day, the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of young Etheri and Kithara who had been hiding their sympathies for the refugees finally found the courage to act. They hijacked 3 cargo ships and flew them to New Geneva Station, declaring their intention to join the exiles. "We are tired of living in fear," announced their leader, a young Etheri named Celeste Moonbeam. "These refugees represent the future we want for our people. We choose to stand with them." Their arrival triggered a cascade of similar actions. Small groups of aliens throughout both civilizations began openly supporting the refugees. Scientists shared research data that proved the exiles had been working on beneficial projects. Artists created works celebrating cooperation between species. Teachers started holding classes about the value of peace. The governments of both species found themselves facing widespread civil disobedience. Military officers refused orders to fire on peaceful protesters. Government officials resigned, rather, than participate in the persecution of innocent beings. Even some high-ranking leaders began privately questioning the wisdom of their policies. Admiral Patricia North, the chief military strategist for human forces in the region, analyzed the situation and reported her findings to Earth Command. "The authoritarian regimes in both alien civilizations are losing control," she concluded. "Their own people are turning against them. If we can maintain pressure while avoiding bloodshed, these governments may collapse on their own." President Claire Watson saw the opportunity and acted decisively. She announced the creation of the Sanctuary Protocol, a new policy that would offer protection to political refugees from any species. Earth would provide safe haven for beings fleeing persecution, regardless of the political consequences. "Humanity will not stand by while innocent people suffer," the president declared in a speech broadcast throughout the galaxy. "We offer our hand in friendship to all who seek freedom and peace." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ships carrying refugees from a dozen different species began arriving at human space stations. Not all were fleeing the Etheri and Kithara governments. Some came from other civilizations where authoritarian leaders had taken control. At New Geneva Station, the original refugees worked tirelessly to help the newcomers. Silvana organized cultural orientation programs to help different species understand each other. Zara used her technological skills to adapt station systems for beings with varied biological needs. Lyra Lay mapped safe routes that refugee ships could use to reach human territory. The most dramatic moment came when the Etheri fleet in the system received new orders from their homeworld. The government had fallen in a peaceful revolution, led by Elder Corvain and other religious leaders. The new leadership immediately recalled all military forces and issued an apology for the treatment of the refugees. "We have lost our way," admitted the new Etheri Prime Minister in a public statement. "Those we called traitors were actually our greatest patriots. They preserved the true spirit of our people when we had forgotten it." The Cathara government held out longer, but eventually they too were forced to change course. Mass resignations. By government scientists and engineers had brought their civilization to a standstill. The new leadership, led by respected engineer Titanica Crystal Forge, also recalled their fleet and began reforms. Knowledge and cooperation made us strong, Titanica announced. Fear and isolation made us weak. We choose strength. With the military threat ended, Admiral Sullivan began planning for the long-term future of the refugees. It was clear that many of them would not want to return home, even with new governments in power. They had found something special at New Geneva Station, a community where different species work together as equals. Captain Lisa Morgan proposed the creation of a permanent multi-species colony. These people have already proven that cooperation benefits everyone, she argued. Let us give them a world where they can build the kind of society they dreamed about. The proposal was enthusiastically supported by the refugees and by many humans. Within weeks, surveys had identified a suitable planet in an unclaimed system near human space. The world had diverse environments that could support multiple species and abundant resources for building a new civilization. Lyra led the first survey mission to the planet, working with human explorers to map suitable locations for settlements. Her knowledge of space phenomena helped them identify the safest landing sites and the best locations for spaceports. Zara designed the colony's computer and communication systems, creating networks that beings from different species could all use effectively. Her biotechnological innovations made it possible for the various alien technologies to work together seamlessly. Silvana established the colony's first school, where children from multiple species would learn together. She combined Etheri wisdom traditions with human educational methods and Cathara technological training to create something entirely new. The colony grew rapidly as more refugees arrived. Scientists from Earth came to study and learn from the alien technologies. Artists from different species collaborated on projects that celebrated their shared values. Engineers worked together on ambitious construction projects that no single species could have completed alone. Within 2 years, the colony had become a model for interspecies cooperation. Delegations from across the galaxy came to study their methods and learn from their success. The settlement became known as Haven, and it inspired similar communities on other worlds. Captain Lisa Morgan was promoted to admiral and given command of the sector that included Haven. She often visited the colony and was amazed by how it had grown. The desolate planet she had first seen was now covered with beautiful cities that blended architectural styles from multiple civilizations. Dr. Amanda Foster established a medical research institute at Haven that developed treatments combining knowledge from all member species. Her work led to cures for diseases that had plagued various civilizations for centuries. The institute became a training center where doctors from across the galaxy learned to treat patients from different species. The original refugees all found important roles in the new society. Silvana became Haven's first Minister of Education, ensuring that young people learned to value diversity and cooperation. Zara headed the Technology Institute, where innovations benefited all member species. Lyra served as Director of Exploration, leading missions to discover new worlds where additional colonies could be established. Commander Beth Turner retired from military service and moved to Haven to serve as the colony's security chief. She was amazed by how peaceful the multi-species community had become. Crime was almost non-existent because everyone felt valued and included. The success of Haven inspired changes throughout the galaxy. The Etheri and Cathara governments implemented reforms that promoted cooperation and cultural exchange. Other civilizations began following similar policies. The authoritarian movements that had nearly caused a war gradually lost influence as people saw the benefits of working together. 5 years after the rescue of the first refugees, Admiral Lisa Morgan stood in Haven's Central Plaza and watched children from 6 different species playing together. Their parents worked side by side in nearby buildings, developing technologies and creating art that enriched all their civilizations. A monument in the center of the plaza honored the memory of refugees who had died before humanity could save them. But it also celebrated those who survived and the humans who chose compassion over politics. The inscription read, "From darkness came light, from exile came home, from fear came friendship." As Lisa watched the bustling community around her, she reflected on how much had changed since that day when the Terra's Hope had found a drifting alien ship. The decision to rescue those dying beings had seemed simple at the time. She could never have imagined that it would transform the entire galaxy. A young human girl ran up to her, followed by an Etheri child and a small Kithara whose crystal skin sparkled with happiness. "Admiral Lisa," the human girl called out. "Will you tell us the story again about how our parents came to live here?" Lisa smiled and knelt down to their level. "Of course. It is a story about people who were brave enough to dream of a better world, and others who were brave enough to help them build it." As she began the familiar tale, more children gathered around to listen. Some had heard the story many times before, but they never tired of hearing about the day when humanity reached out to save strangers in the void and discovered that friendship could overcome any obstacle. The story continued to spread across the galaxy, inspiring new generations to choose cooperation over conflict, understanding over fear, and hope over despair. The refugees who had once been left to die in the cold darkness between the stars had become the founders of a new age of peace and prosperity for all species. Haven grew into a symbol of what was possible when different peoples worked together toward common goals. Other colonies followed its example, creating a network of communities where species boundaries mattered less than shared values. The galaxy became a safer, more welcoming place for everyone, and in the vast reaches of space, human ships continued to patrol the darkness, always ready to answer distress calls from any species. The lesson learned from the rescue of the refugees had become a fundamental principle of human civilization. No one would be left to die alone in the void, not while humanity had the power to help.